My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. The political situation in the United States is getting more and more crazy. From our perspective, all roads lead to your liberation. It's not the case that if this person wins the election then you will be liberated, but if that person wins the election then you won't. No. Whoever wins the election, or even if the election doesn't take place or doesn't take place as scheduled, all roads lead to your liberation. Hence, while I understand that people may be anxious about the current situation, we would like to invite you to keep doing your spiritual practice and to spend enough time in nature and with your loved ones. Looking inwards is usually more productive than looking outwards. We invite you not to forget to take at least a few slow deep breaths, at least once per day. Even if you just take 3 slow deep breaths per day, that's significantly better than nothing. Many of you are already doing that, or meditating, or doing something similar, and that's fantastic. Next up, I would like to share some information about the Galactic Confederation. Note that the term Galactic Confederation is more accurate than Galactic Federation, because according to your dictionaries, you can leave a confederation but you can't leave a federation. Obviously people are free to leave our organization. Hence it's more appropriate to translate it as the Galactic Confederation rather than as the Galactic Federation. So, how does the Galactic Confederation operate? If a species isn't yet peaceful and at a certain level of consciousness, then usually we do not yet make physical contact with them, except for specific missions. So for example, we might physically meet a general to discuss with them the threat of hostile galactics, but we won't make a social visit to someone just because we'd like to meet them and they'd like to meet us. This is the stage that Earth is currently at, although you are not that far away anymore from being peaceful enough and being at the level of consciousness where we would make physical contact. We also want the situation on the ground to be safe before we start visiting people outside of the context of specific missions, and that's something else that still needs to be addressed. Currently we don't yet consider Earth to be safe. We protect these relatively low consciousness civilizations from destroying themselves, for example through nuclear weapons and AI. We also protect them from negative galactics to an extent. Interactions with negative galactics can actually facilitate soul growth, and people have the right to choose to interact with negative galactics. Still, beyond a certain point people aren't able to lead normal lives anymore and aren't able to have the experiences they incarnated for. We tolerate negative galactics messing with innocence to a relatively large extent, but we don't tolerate that beyond a certain point. Currently on Earth we are actively fighting hostile galactics, underground for a large part, and we are empowering some Earth humans to do the same. While we have the upper hand and many negative galactics have been arrested or eliminated, there are still some negative galactics on Earth remaining. Once a species is peaceful enough and has reached a certain level of consciousness and the situation on the ground is safe, then we make physical contact. Sometimes we directly establish open and public contact. And sometimes we first physically meet with those people who are willing and ready for us, and we do that for a while, and only then do we make open contact. Both of those scenarios are still possible for Earth. It depends on how things play out, which largely depends on the choices that Earth humans make. Making open contact with a new species is always an amazing event. I have been a part of a few of those meetings and they're always great, and lots of fun. I think you will love it too. After making open contact, every individual of that species has 2 options. Either they can choose not to become a member of the Galactic Confederation, and if so we still usually offer those individuals protection and a moderate amount of technology, for free. To those Earth humans who choose this technology would still make your lives significantly better. We are also usually still willing to have physical interactions with these people, and help them out in certain ways if requested. Alternatively, individuals can choose to become members of the Galactic Confederation. The benefits that the individual receives from this depend on their own level of consciousness. This is because the full benefits include access to all our technology and immigration rights to our worlds, and we do not wish to give the blueprints of destructive weapons, or immigration rights, to relatively low consciousness people. As members of the Galactic Confederation grow in consciousness, more benefits open up to them. Obviously, we are more than happy to provide healing and spiritual teaching services to help you with this, as well as make sure that your practical needs are met so that you don't have to focus on survival. Relatively high consciousness beings have access to all technology, to immigration rights, vacation rights to our worlds, to help and facilitation if you want to try and date other Galactic Confederation members, plus it'll be easier to work side by side with other Galactic Confederation members, and finally you'll get access to the Galactic Network. The Galactic Network is a metaphorical pool of knowledge from which people can download into their brain any information that is stored in the Galactic Network. For example, people can learn to speak English in a matter of minutes to hours by downloading that information from the Galactic Network. Initially they'll be a bit stiff and rusty, like someone who hasn't spoken English in a decade, but with some practice they'll quickly be able to speak English fluently. Everyone is also invited to add new information or experiences to the Galactic Network. I'm sure the people of Earth have valuable information and experiences to add, which would enrich the Galactic Network and thus everyone in the Galactic Confederation. Learning a skill manually, without downloading it from the Galactic Network, is considered a leisure activity. For example, someone who loves painting might choose not to download painting skills into their brain, because they enjoy learning it from scratch. Or a young couple might prefer to explore their sexuality together and not just download expert-level bedroom skills into their brains. Personally, I'm quite busy and so I just downloaded Earth culture into my brain. That said, while I know roughly what a Bach piece is and I could hum some parts of it if I strained my brain, I've never actually listened to a Bach piece in the normal way. Brothers and sisters of mine with more free time on their hands have listened to Bach in the normal way, and obviously that's a more pleasurable experience than just downloading it without ever experiencing it. Hence, our perspective that learning something in the normal way is a leisure activity. Alternatively, if someone really wants to dedicate their life to a certain craft and they want to have had the experience of learning it from scratch, then they might also choose not to download any information. We have Galactic Network Shapers, whom you could also see as teachers. They take information from the Galactic Network and skillfully bundle it into an easy-to-digest package. So if a Pleiadian wanted to learn English, they'd download into their brain the English package from the Galactic Network that a Galactic Network Shaper had previously created. And yes, high-consciousness Earth humans who join the Galactic Confederation are absolutely invited to also become shapers, or teachers, in this way. Typically, if we want to share a skill, a few people cooperate to make a good bundle that teaches that skill in an easy-to-digest way. Then once a few expert peer reviewers give their approval, it's labeled as reliable. Then the information becomes available for download to the hundreds of billions of people in the Galactic Confederation. And yes, most Pleiadians have downloaded a number of standard packages, which means that most Pleiadians have engineering skills, and are also quite good at cooking, for example. And if someone discovers a really good new recipe, and everyone likes it, then that additional recipe can be presented as an optional update to the cooking package that everyone already has. This might sound scary to you, but it's all optional, and there are many safeguards built in. There's also nothing that gets physically put into your brain or anything like that, and we also can't mind control people via the Galactic Network. It's simply just people having the option to download knowledge. Also, we're all mind readers, so it's not easy for malicious actors to fool us and somehow mess with the Galactic Network. A long time ago we had a diplomatic incident because knowledge about a certain species was wrong in the Galactic Network itself, and so pretty much everyone in the Galactic Confederation was wrong, while being very confident that they were right. You know, like those people on your world who are still asleep, wrong, but very confident that they are right. Eventually we had a long talk with that species, we discovered our mistake, we apologized and sent out an update to other people in the Galactic Confederation to correct the mistake. Ultimately this proved to be more amusing than damaging. Since then, adding raw data to the Galactic Network is still pretty easy, but getting it labeled as reliable isn't. Generally speaking, people only download peer-reviewed packages that are labeled as reliable. Some people are more adventurous and rebellious than that, but well, we've all been young, right? So, depending on your level of consciousness, there are some great benefits to joining the Galactic Confederation. Even just getting vacation rights to our worlds is, I think, fantastic. You could easily have an amazing century just by traveling and exploring all the beautiful worlds in the Galactic Confederation. And yes, you'll have much longer lifespans too. Are there any things that could be seen as downsides to joining the Galactic Confederation?